For me, Obama just inspired me. He didn't do anything for me as the president, or what I was taught the president does, right? He just inspired me that I can do whatever I want to do, right? To me, that's what Oprah is.
Welcome to the second installment of Black on Black, where we have black people talk about black stuff. What else? So I'm going to be the moderator today. I'm Simone Stanley. Thank you so much. We got 4 beautiful, diverse minds sitting in the room today. So can you guys just go around and introduce yourself? Of course, ladies first. So go ahead, Britt.
Thank you. Yes, I go by the name of DJ Beelax, aka just Beelax.
And you want to tell like a little bit about yourself? Like,
I mean, yeah, I just do it all. I just call myself a multifaceted type of woman. Like, I really am, I'm just built different. Like, I don't believe in just one gift. I believe in multiple gifts. So I do real estate, I do entrepreneurship, I own my own business, music, entertainment. I'm a DJ, I'm a producer, I have my own record label. I'm on air personality on the radio station, and yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll take it. My name is Justin Giles, and I have a real estate hedge fund. Started 2006. Been investing in real estate since I came out of college at 21. I have a real estate brokerage firm called Real Estate Gurus. So we have about 61 agents between Georgia and Florida. And I also consult people on how to actually build wealth in real estate.
So you guys got the real estate link going on.
Okay. You got the vibe, right?
Okay, so y'all can talk after the call.
After, you know.
Right? Okay.
So my name is Kevin Thomas. I'm an executive at a bank. My full-time job at the bank is actually working to close the racial wealth gap amongst Latinx and African Americans.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm Jah Rawlings. I do sports and entertainment marketing for a living. Founder and CEO of AEBL, which is short for Atlanta Entertainment Basketball League. It's one of the largest programs in the country. And the co-founder in Sneaker Ball Atlanta.
Okay, awesome. So we got a very diverse group here, and the one thing that we all have in common is black. So you guys already know the first question I'm gonna ask you guys. I want you guys to, talk amongst yourselves. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear black on black? You laughing, so you're first.
I'm ashamed to say it.
I think we're gonna say the same thing.
Crime.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Right.
Yeah.
But that just speaks to how we've been programmed.
I agree with that.
Wow, that's awesome.
So because you really wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, we all know it's fake news, for lack of a better term. But man, that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of, piggybacking off of that, I have to agree with you with, I guess, systematic racism and how they, always try to put into society that black isn't good. So to spin it on a positive note, black on black, I've been thinking about that song, black on black on black.
Right,
that's what I'm thinking about first. That's what I thought. And I was like, but yeah, black on black. I mean, that can mean a lot of things. But let's say for this particular podcast, it's black people working with other black people in the community and to support each other. Hopefully.
I would agree. I think the both answers kind of was in my mind. I think when you said it so vague, like just black on black, the first thing I think you think is black on black crime, because that's how it's spewed to us at all times. But then, like he said, as far as like where we're at now, I think we're starting to identify that how serviceable we can be to each other. So black on black could be a many of different things. What we're doing right now is black on black. Black people who produce and creating, bringing other black people into the fold and into their network.
Yeah. Just essentially just changing that narrative. I was thinking just like everything black. That's what I was thinking when she said black on black, like everything black, which I'm here for. I support small businesses and everything black. That's it. That's where I'm at with it.
And that was a great point you brought up about the first thing coming to mind is black on black crime, and that's really like the media. Like you hear black on black, that's a color, but the first thing you think of is crime in our neighborhoods because of the way the media portrays it. So that is, it's true, but it's definitely disheartening to hear.
Word. Hard facts.
Yeah, the power of programming, right? How we've been programmed to operate, and even as black people, like we know that it ain't a real thing.
but we still,
And
yeah.
so we still allow
Yeah.
ourselves to be
Yeah.
programmed.
And sometimes we,
white crime.
yeah, and then but they don't.
Asian-
It ain't even
Asian-
called white on white crime. You
They
know?
don't,
They always find some way to fluff it to where it's not as harsh, or you know what I mean. But
Right.
I think that's what's a big part, at least even my agenda, like since COVID and even going into 2021. It's like we got to stop necessarily like looking at everything from a financial gain, especially when it comes to our community, because if we continue to do that, then we're just programmed, right? Because it's like chase the dollar. You chasing the dollar, and I just was talking to a friend of mine today. It's like, bro, we done made it. We from the hood. We got educated. All of us got degrees. We all doing what we want to do, but look back and really see what we making an impact on. You know, like you guys, do we own the block, right? Do we own that same block that we grew up off? And are we still complaining about what's not happening in our community, but we not doing it? So I think, you know, to use that and turn it into a positive, we just got to be black strong and for black people,
Right.
you know. So
I think that's what people mean when it's like on black crime, is that essentially we just need to stop doing that. We need to stop killing each other, and we need to come together and stop. Like, I know it's going to be hard to get that to a 0%, but
Yeah.
like, let's get these numbers down with us killing each other, robbing each other, taking advantage of each other, and let's love each other. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Let's unite. Let's
but I
build.
think not to disagree, because I totally agree with you, but I think what he started off saying about the media, I think it's so hard. Like, so it's so simple for us to be like, just stop.
Right.
Stop killing each other, right? But do we understand the reasons why we killing each
Right.
other?
That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? So I'm not killing, and I can't speak for the world, right? Like I'm originally from New York, been living in Atlanta, going on 21 years. So I only can really speak on those two cities, and then cities that I've traveled to and been in for a while. If you look at the environment where mostly all the people getting killed, guess what they're doing? They're programmed.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So they're actually programmed to kill each other. So we'll let y'all kill each other so we don't have to do it, right?
Right.
But then that's where you guys come in, because now we are, I would say in the last decade, at least for my group of friends and colleagues and stuff like that, we're on this financial journey.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, that's what's separating us, right?
100%.
Is your access and resource.
It's
Yeah.
poverty. It's definitely poverty.
Yeah.
It's not just people just killing each other.
Yeah, no,
That's not-
man. That's why I said,
Right.
like, no, you hit it on the head. Like, we do have to, but we also need people like you guys who understand where the wealth disparities are, where the resources are, and people got to be open to listen.
Right.
You know, because we do have a stance, and I'm guilty of it myself, thinking we know everything. You know what I mean? So it's like you watching everything on social media or on TV, and the brothers are trying to tell you, listen, man, that ain't how these people making their money. They making their money over here. You have wealth, and you can obtain more wealth if you do it. Just, nah, bro, I got it. I'm already made. I got it. I got $1 million. Yeah, and then 5 years from now, you broke. You know, so that's kind of how I look at the way we got to change. Is we got to dig deep internally and like find those ways to fix our problems.
100%.
Why can't they just say crime?
Yeah.
Right, crime is crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to the point, just unpacking your statement. It's easy when you know when you made it, when you ain't in that circumstance anymore to say
Right.
just change.
Yeah.
But many hands got us to our point. Like you said, resources, right? Some people had 2 parents, some people had 2 educated parents, right? Everybody's journey to their current state is different. And it's easier when you've gotten out of it, because we're no better than the person who says, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right.
If it's as simple as just, hey, stop killing. We got to think of, I'm from Chicago originally. I've been in Atlanta 9 years. But when I think about like Chicago, like plants closed, troubled education system, like those people are in that condition because of decisions that have been made through government, local government, federal. Like, it's not just people wake up and say, man, I'm gonna be a killer.
Right.
Or parents, I think every parent, I know you're a new parent, so congratulations, but everybody wants the best for their child. Like, nobody gives birth to a kid and say, man, my son gonna be a killer.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Something happens on that journey to adulthood, and a lot of it, you know, I do believe in personal responsibility and personal accountability, but we can't forget all the things that's happened to create the racial wealth gap, the education gap, food deserts. Like, it's been a lot of systematic things. And it's funny because systematic is a hot word right now. And so when we're talking to our allies, whether it's Latinx, white, like, we have to help them understand systematic.
Right.
And really start to use very simple ways of communicating with people to provide clarity on what does systematic look like. Right? Like, give an example of a systematic process that has impacted adversely Black people, right? Because it didn't happen overnight. And we see times in our history post Reconstruction where Black people were actually much more successful. More Black federal congressmen than it is even today was right after slavery. So it's just like a lot of things have done. Jim Crow, like, this has been very intentional on and impacted. Anytime there's crisis, we get the brunt of it. A mortgage crisis, COVID, like 100%, I believe 100% of the jobs lost for COVID is actually low income wage earners. Like, it impacts poor people, and poor people, I think Obama said it on the Breakfast Club, like, we represent a large population of that demographic, right, as Black people. So we got, I think, to a point, that now that we know, like, I'm from that area, that's how I grew up, it's our responsibility to give back. As a matter of fact, real estate, when you think about real estate, man, me and my wife debated when we were buying where we want to live. Right, I want to live here, she wants to live there. Like, we can't flee our communities, because if we're not buying in our community, advocating at the school, advocating at local government, like, that's our responsibility as people. See, I still don't believe I made it yet. Make it today, tomorrow you ain't made it, right? But I think as people who are conscious, we got to go back to our communities, not just to visit. Like a helicopter, you come in, but hey, I'm in this community.
We call it the sky view. Go back to look for the sky view.
That's why the first property I bought was in the hood. It's in the west side of Atlanta. So they're gentrifying the west side of Atlanta, and I wanted to give back by buying that up, because of course we already know people that are not minorities, they're buying up the block. You know what I'm saying? But it need to be us, of course, to blight and create affordable living for our people. That's my goal when it comes to real estate. I want to create affordable living, because what essentially happened when it's gentrified is that they're buying up the block but not making it affordable anymore, because certain people with higher qualified jobs and salaries are buying these low income type of property values, and it's raising up the property value. So for me, I'm very attentive on what I'm doing. I just feel like it's not enough of it. It's not enough.
And even just that stance in Atlanta, I don't know how where you guys are connected in certain groups and communities, but like, we service the whole metro Atlanta, so Cobb, Gwinnett, Fulton, even down close to South Georgia. And my position, and even like when Keisha was running, was that we don't control the city as much as we think we do, because they made it about money now. So before, like, yes, we do have our equity from the culture standpoint. Nobody touches right now, and I'm from New York. We've actually catapulted, in my opinion, what New York had back in the like 90s and 80s as far as culture. But I will tell you, and I'm not blaming anybody, because it's not my right to be like somebody should do, right? But if I can call 20 millionaires in my phone right now, and none of them own property, that they can say, hey, this is something I'm building to build more wealth in our community. And then I'm also, because you're going to build wealth for yourself, right? But I think kind of what that's why I want to connect with you guys out there. So for me, how I look at it is twofold. So I can go back into the community, buy some property, invest, and help build up that community. At the same time, I live in Grayson. You see what I'm saying? So
I don't even know what it
that's it's north.
I'm from Tennessee,
it's
so
north.
I don't even know.
So it's north. It's like north. It's in Gwinnett County.
Okay.
So it'd be northeast, right? But within 3 or 4 mile radius, every baseball player, football player, basketball player has a mansion out there, right? So it's like, so one part of me, I'm from the hood, from the projects. Originally from Brooklyn, grew up on Long Island and Hempstead, which is like Brooklyn. It's where everybody from Brooklyn moved to.
Right.
You know, so in comparable to like what he said in Chicago, people feel like they getting out, right? But then you just going to a better project. You know what I'm like? You're not really, you're just leaving the projects to go to a better project. But what I look at is like, there is going to be a version of people who like need inspiration to just get out of the environment within itself.
Right.
So I want to be able to service those people and the people who can't go.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because it's unfair to tell someone like us to be like, man, you went to college, you know, you're doing good for yourself. Yo, you got to go live back in the hood to prove a point. Nah, challenge the people in the hood, the ones, the kids, maybe single mom, maybe no parents at all, that they know they want to get up out that hood. Grab them, take them and you know, nurture them into being a success, and then let them go back. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm 37. So I'm so disattached from the hood.
Right.
Like even when I go back to my own hood, it's like it's a sky view. You know what I'm saying? I go and pop in, what up? You know what I'm saying? I might take care of a couple of my guys that's doing good things in the community. Then I'm out. I'm not at that place no more that I can sit and chill on the block. Yo, remember we used to do, you know, you just can't.
But those are good conversations.
Yeah, they're the greatest. They're the greatest. But we know our environment, and I know my environment. Everybody's watching my life on social media. So while I'm in the hood, I got a young dude don't know who I am, don't know what I mean to this community. Like, yo, give me that. You see what I'm saying?
It's not even safe to do
right, so you know what I'm saying? So like I gotta do it from afar. So like even when I listen to like Killer Mike and T.I., like homegrown Atlanta guys, they're doing, I guess, what they feel like is best for them and financially and whatever. But it's like, bro, you gotta let other people, you gotta inspire other people to do it. So we like Jeezy said, I own half of Atlanta. Remember that was a big thing.
Yeah.
So in reality, he probably do own half of Atlanta, because guess why? It ain't just him. He like, yo, bro, what you need? Let me give you some money to go. What you need, bro? You on the east side of Atlanta? Let me help you out. So he may not be physically owning it, but he's helping interject. And I've seen him do it with my own eyes. Like, yo, you want to start a new business? Yo, here go $50,000.
Right.
So just because his name is not on it doesn't mean he's not putting an influx back into the Atlanta community.
I was gonna say something too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't know if you guys meant to get too much on this topic, but one of the things, born and raised in Atlanta, I see a lot, and then this goes just amongst the nation in general. When you hear about black people, they glorify being from the hood. Now, if you hear Asian people, they don't say I'm from the hood. You don't hear white people saying I'm from the hood. So one thing that I've seen growing up is I would see people that would be from affluent neighborhoods, they'll want to assimilate to saying, hey, I'm from the hood because it seems to be cool starting from the bottom, now we're here. But what's interesting and what's very important for black culture to say, hey, look, starting from the bottom, now you're here, okay, but these other races, they're not saying we start from the bottom, now we're here, but like we've been here and we keep growing. So what I find for us to really establish in our communities is, and you guys touched on it, is changing the dynamic, changing the systematic brainwashing of black people and their outlook on, for example, you brought up T.I. and Jeezy.
Right.
I like Robert Smith. I like Oprah. I'm not saying I don't like T.I. and Jeezy, but I don't look up to them. Right? So we look at, well, who are we really looking up to? And going back to that, it's just, access. It's the people who are coming back into community and showing them. So, for example, let's say that you guys might have nice cars. Well, of course, we know the stigma is if you're a black person that drives a nice car. But then if you come to them and say, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in corporate America, and you can do this too, then we're really helping out our black on black by letting them know that black is an array of different things. And it's not something that society tries to put us in this particular box. So it'll be us all giving back to our respective communities and just letting them know, like, for example, and I'll speak for myself, I take a lot of people from different socioeconomic backgrounds that are black, and we help them be successful with financial literacy, with real estate, or with whatever type of companies that they may want to start. Maybe being a DJ, maybe being in corporate, with working with sports, maybe within your different, type of businesses that you're in. Mm-hmm. But just giving them access to those people, so then they have so many different options, versus saying, well, hey, the best way for me to get out of this situation or whatnot is to do this. But it's just the access.
But I like something, hold on, because I'm going to forget my thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is what I mean about where we live. So Atlanta's a world by itself, in my personal opinion. So like the statement that you made about like how you look at Oprah and Robert Smith, I can grab you 500 kids from Metro Atlanta that are all different array of living conditions and they don't know who those people are. They don't care to know who they are, because guess what? We live in this bubble, right, for our culture, right? Because when Robert Smith came out and he gave all that money to the schools, right? Nobody even know who he was, so that's why it was a surprise. Like, oh, this black man with all this money gave this money to, and they like, who? You see what I'm saying? If Michael Jordan would have did it, if LeBron would have did it, if somebody of stature that we know as a culture, so that's why I think that it's so different, right? Because, and I love Oprah. I think she's done so much for, like, she's like Obama to me.
Don't talk bad about Oprah.
No, look, I can't attest for what she's done personally.
Please don't say she's not in tune with the culture.
No, that too, but I wasn't even gonna go there. What I was gonna say was that, like, for me, Obama just inspired me. He didn't do anything for me as the president, or what I was taught the president does, right? He just inspired me that I can do whatever I want to do, right? Mm-hmm. To me, that's what Oprah is. And I'll give you an example. Atlanta Public School being one of the worst public school systems in the United States of America. When Oprah came to Atlanta, she gave it to what's the school? It's a charter school. Ron Clark. Right? So that $5 million you gave Ron Clark, you could have took $1 million and basically went through every hood in Atlanta and made sure that the education was upgraded. You see what I'm saying? So she wasn't wrong, because there are black boys and girls that go to Ron Clark, and those are the kids they're rearing to go be successful. But what I'm saying is, how do you expect, and this is just a culture question, how do we expect for her to be respected by our culture and be idolized like that if it seems like you're always with the other side?
Man, this is
I
didn't know it would go all this way.
So, and that's just a question, not a judgment, like, because people ask me that, you know. But go ahead, brother.
I feel like I'm on the phone with one of my own. It's funny because, like you say, you respect Oprah, Robert Smith, you respect Tip and Killer Mike. By the way, I think they're doing some amazing things, even changing the narrative, like the black-owned bank that Killer Mike and a couple of the brothers Ryan, and so I think that's important. I think there is space for all these people.
Yep.
Like, everybody don't resonate with Oprah. Mm-hmm. Like, and also, let's not kid ourselves. Like, hell, we could say, man, Jared Kushner is an inspiration. Like, he's a businessman, he owns high rises, but the reality of it, his journey there isn't the same as mine. Right. It's gonna be more difficult for me to get there than it was for Jared. Or so I think, as far as when it's funny, because one of the questions was about community, and I was thinking about, I grew up in Chicago, and like around the real. But what I do remember about my childhood, I'm 40 now, so it takes you to get older, but I said, even though we were in the hood, everybody I know, parents worked. Everybody in the ghetto got up every day and went to work. There was a sense of community. I never knew about daycares and how expensive they were. Yeah. My daughter, when we moved here, my daughter was 7 because you had community. She could go to the neighbors. You know how we are. Yeah. My aunt was just our neighbor. But so that sense of community. Yeah. So to your point, like, yeah, I'm not saying that you're not official if you don't live and move back to the hood. What I'm saying is, when people like us live in the hood, we go to the school and, hey, y'all not doing this, right? We advocate different when you're aware. And so my daughter's 16 now. When we grew, my wife still is my wife's a very humble woman. And so when I raised hell at the school, she'd be like, you can't talk to teachers like that. You can't be going up there. You're not their manager. I'm like, what? I'm a taxpayer. They're gonna get on, they're gonna fix this. But we don't even know how to advocate. And so if people that know how to advocate don't live in, because you can't challenge the APS school system in Grayson. They're gonna be like, dude, you live in Brookwood. Is it Brookwood?
Grayson High School.
But you can't, if you're not there and you don't own, it's harder. Yeah. It's harder, and you forget. And what I'm learning is, financial literacy is cool, but financial literacy is different from financial health. That's why we talk about financial health in my org, because financial literacy is what you know. Financial health is what you do. And we got to get to the point where we're helping people make behavioral change. So I was just telling you, we went out Saturday and we went to a club in Atlanta, and we got a section, and I was sitting there like, this is such a waste of money. So I was telling one of my buddies,
you enjoying it while
but you got it.
But in your head, you're like, yo, why do we
But one of my buddies a doctor. He owns he owns 3 pharmacies in Cali, owns a restaurant. I'm like, dude, we're giving money away. Really, we could have went and took care of somebody's Christmas gifts, right? And how do you start to make behavioral change? Because the only thing that's going to help us is home ownership. That's it. And education. We fix those 2 things, we'll close the racial wealth gap at historic rates, because that's how you transfer wealth. A friend of mine, his wife's parents passed a week apart, and they left our house that's paid off. And I was telling them, man, and he makes great money. She's a nurse. He's in a union in Chicago. Together, they probably make about $150. And I said, man, you gotta own a home. And I broke down the rule of 72 to him, right, and how money doubles. And if your wife just sold the house in 7 years, if you're invested in the market, the house is worth 200, then it's worth 4, 7 years, it's worth 8. Think about the impact on your children. He like, man, I never knew that. And I'm like, now that you know, what you gonna do about it? Then you take what her parents left, you buy a crib. By the time you're setting your kids up, they're millionaires.
Right.
Yeah. But until we really just help people, my parents didn't. After my parents got divorced, I lived in an apartment my entire life, and so after the divorce, I was maybe 5, and so I became a banker at the bank. So I was the person who would help people with mutual funds. I didn't know what any of that stuff was. And so when I think about just my journey with financial health, it was really getting a job at the bank, where I would see a person come in that's a waitress making $30,000, I was making $60. She has more money than I do in the bank. I'm like, this just ain't adding up. Or when we get in a financial bind, we call our family. Hey man, you got $50, man, until I get paid, I need to wash. And understanding how to leverage credit as a bridge, right? All these things weren't, and I didn't expect my father to teach me, because we lived in an apartment, but he had a Cadillac. Every year he had a
new one. Every time a new one hit
he don't know better. And so when you don't know better, it's very difficult to do better. And so we got to figure out who are the voices in our community, because there's no Malcolm, Martins. We don't really have that consolidated voice. And because our community is so diverse, we need Oprah, but we need Oprah to be partnering with T.I. So that people who don't know who Robert Smith is, that know who T.I. is, can say, man, Tip respect him, right? Or Jay respect him. I got to figure out who this guy is.
Let's take it that, because T.I. was more so our generation. But now let's look at Lil Baby. So if we have our youth that is, let's say idolizing, people that are in the entertainment industry, and if those people in the entertainment industry aren't financially savvy, and they're not, let's say, partnering with a person like, let's say, Robert Smith, to where they're understanding. And just to be completely transparent,
Right.
I'll have, some of these rappers be tenants in my house, right? And they're renting my house even though they're making, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So then you'll figure out, okay, that's the financial literacy aspect that these people aren't teaching in their lyrics. But then that takes to another account to where it's like, okay, if black youth is looking up to more so entertainers and athletes, then that still goes back to the same stereotype of then what do you do when you're successful? Are you entertainer or athlete? So then our own people even stereotype each other for being successful because they think success is if you're entertaining or athlete.
If you're in Atlanta and you see someone in a nice car, instantly you think,
he play ball or he a rapper.
But if that's what you idolize, or if that's what you want to aspire to be.
Yeah, and I think, and this is, I'm glad you just said that too, because so in a nutshell, that's what I was saying is that we've never had a uniform front. Right? So when you make it, no matter what you make it in or what level, there's never no connectivity to the next person. It's like, I made it and I'm over here. You made it, you here. So what I was saying in the sense of like Atlanta, I don't know what's going on in New York as far as like you said Jay, for example. So Jay's been I've idolized him since his start. Like I can tell you everything about Jay-Z. I know everything, his family, the whole nine. Because he was before the world knew who he was, we in New York, the young kids knew like this is the guy. So in the culture, it was Jay-Z and Allen Iverson, right? And that's how you looked at things from like, all right, I might not play basketball, but that guy, you see what I'm saying? Look what he's doing. He got his own commercial, he got his own shoe. Now we had Jordan, but we knew Jordan was out of reach for us. You get what I'm saying? Jordan, to me, like I said, I tell people all the time, I can't even really say Jordan's my favorite player because I was a baby when he was doing his thing.
Right.
But I was born in '83, bro, so it should have been grasping with him the time over, but that wasn't it. For me to really be like, yo, I know everything about Michael Jordan and I'm 7 years old. Yeah. How am I gonna say that?
And then remember the games weren't even on
TV. Right.
And I grew up in Chicago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm a big Lakers fan.
Yeah, and people. So to go to your point, and what I was saying to you when you said the Oprah, it wasn't to kind of discredit how you connect. It was more saying like our youth right now, they need Robert Smith and Oprah, but like he said, we need Oprah or Robert Smith to say, you know what, let me kind of come down on my high horse a little bit and come down into the lens and the belly of where my people really need me. And if that means I got to use Lil Baby's voice to get to where I need to get to, let me humble myself. And it's like, and Drake say it all the time, like, yo, if I got to pull back up in the hood, if I'm pulling back up in a Maybach or whatever the case may be, like, don't judge that, but that's my lifestyle. That doesn't mean that that's me. You get what I mean? If I come back to the hood and I'm like, yo, I'm trying to take care of all the kids in the hood, I shouldn't have to come back in a hoopty for you to be like, yo, I'm coming back to.
It's heartbreaking that we are sitting here having a conversation about people that are. I look at celebrity because I never had an idol like somebody on TV. I love Jay. Right. I love Kobe. I'm a Laker guy. So I like them. Yeah. But I don't be like I'm gonna be Robert Smith. Right. Right. I'm gonna be the best version of me. Yep. Yep. And it's more Kevin Thomas's than it is Robert Smith. So that's not kid ours. Like the reason they look up to Baby is because they don't see us. We not there.
And that's what I was.
And so they're gonna hear Lil Baby 50 times a day. They're gonna see whoever 50 times a day because to really, when I think about like who I was and who I am, like many people, like I have mentors. I have a Kevin Thomas Incorporated. I got a board of directors, and they're always gonna keep me straight. Or when I'm stressing about confidence in corporate America, or when I'm tripping, like everybody on my team has Ivy League degrees. Like you need somebody to say that don't matter, right? You're good enough. You're smart. You're talented, right? It doesn't matter. But because we're absent, from our community, we don't have little Bobby to say, hey, little Bobby, you're really strategic. You're tactical.
Right.
You actually can have a degree in finance. Or you got a big personality. If you learn the markets, you can attract people to be a financial advisor and make $300,000-$400,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does that look like, Mr. Kevin?
Right.
Well, let me tell you how it happens.
Yeah.
A, you don't need a college degree. You need these licenses, right? Like, if we aren't present, then we allow anyone to raise our kids.
Right.
So if you're not present and Lil Baby raise your kids, like, who said that? J. Cole, Uncle Phil was my dad?
Yeah.
Like, his dad was absent.
Yeah.
And so, until everybody, like, we can't just continue to say, man, we got to do better, we got to do better, we got to do better. Instead of the real people that have to do better are the people who have means and the people who made it. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're committing crimes to survive. They're do whatever, right? And like, there is enough black people. I think I read a stat. It's more black men enrolled in college than are in prison.
Wow.
Right? Like people.
But it's reversed. They preach to us that it's all these black men.
That's the narrative, right? And so we gotta be like enough of this, and we can't wait on South. Like you all probably seen this documentary, Waiting on Superman, about educate. Like it ain't no Superman for us. We are Supermen, and we gotta go to the communities and say, hey, listen, or to the schools, like you work in the schools, who's the worst kid? Like what you all call the worst kid, because we'll just say it's a boy being a boy.
Right. Sometimes kids just need attention.
Yeah.
I come from a 2-parent home, and I can tell you right now, my parents did not teach me everything I know. They didn't teach me about wealth. They didn't teach me about money management. They didn't teach me about good credit, because they had bad credit. They still own their house. They don't have wealth. Like everything that I'm building toward was self-taught, and it's a mentality. It's something, because I grew up in middle class, close to poverty. So basically, we had a house, but we was barely making it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it took me like mentors when I went to the recreation center, because I grew up in recreation centers. We need more of those. When you grow up in situations where they got outlets like sports, track, games, and like that got me out of not trying to, they back in the back of the center smoking weed. Yes, I was back there, and when I was back there with them boys while they was smoking weed, I did not smoke the weed, but the guy who coached the basketball team, who was over the center, he saw me, he was like, what are you doing? Like, you better than this. What are you doing? Like, you don't need to be doing that. So it really took people like that for me to be like, I don't know why I'm back here with these guys. Like, I'm just trying to be back here because they cool. And so, like, it took people like that for me to just want to do better. Like, but my parents didn't teach. Like, it's a mentality. And it's sometimes people just...
And that's why I was going to the thing I was saying about with Jay. It wasn't more so from, like, an idolizing thing. It was just, that was someone that, you look at. So like for me now, it's like and I'm at their level in the sense of like where I'm at in my career and where I'm trying to go. But like now it's like LeBron and his crew. To me, they're take him away from being a basketball player. So you don't even know that he plays basketball. But if you watch and absorb what his crew is doing, they're strategically peeling back where we've been pushed away from.
LeBron's doing
and what people so when I think about that for our community, and this is through sports, entertainment, business, financial literature, in health, and it's like they're showing you got to be open, like you were just saying, to like receive it and take it in and digest it and say, you know what, man, it may not be smart to go buy this Benz, right? And I like the way they played on it, because LeBron probably got every car, right? But they decided to go with Kias, right? That was strategic. That wasn't just let me get a check from Kia. When he was trying to propose was like, guys, it doesn't really matter. Like, you could be who you are and drive whatever you want to drive. That was his whole, like, he talked about it in the interview, like how he could have went with Bentley, he could have did a Ferrari. He was like, yo, I'm going to do Kia, because I don't want people to feel like they got to kill themselves to be idolizing me and what I drive, right? Because I'm making a certain amount of money that they can't obtain right now. But like, it's little things like that I think, and I only kind of speak because of the lens that I have in Atlanta and the voice that I have. The kids are watching and they're listening now. I can tell you, we got a group of young men right now who are all striving entrepreneurs at 16, 17, 18 years old.
Right.
You know, and they have the pipeline now. They know they're talking to the Ryans and the Paul Judges, and because we like, yo, they don't need us. We the resource. We the bridge. Right. So we got them. We nurture them a little bit, mentor them a little bit, then we pass them to someone, because I can't teach you what they know.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I think if we can do policing our own community, kind of what it's called, from a physical and a mental, I think we'll start getting back in the direction that they used to be in Tulsa and DC and Chicago and New York when they was thriving.
But they had community.
That's what I'm saying.
When I think about the South Shore of Chicago, that was a Black Wall Street too.
Yeah.
But when you're not present, if only my dad's a minister, and so the only people I really knew with money was we went to a big church, was people at church. But in my daily life, and they never pulled me to the side like, hey man, you're smart, man.
Right.
This is what I do. Most people used to say, she worked at Ameritech, she's an engineer.
Right.
But she never talked to the kids.
Right.
Because they're just coming to the church because where they live, they can't get that type of down home gospel. Yeah. So they'll parachute in and then they'll helicopter out. And what I think the real work happens, because money isn't gonna solve it. We've proven that. You can throw money at a problem, but until people say, man, I'm gonna do the work. I know I'm tired. I just put in 12 hours, but I'm gonna go talk to those kids. That same grind mentality that we have to get a bag, we gotta have that same grind mentality to say, man, if I could save 2 kids, he can save 2. Now we're up to 8 kids, and then each one of them save 2. We're up to 16 kids. We gotta go do the work, and that's the hard part now, because you don't want to be on parents got it's not easy because everybody's circumstances are different. And I know that's the utopian mindset, but we just gotta mobilize, and making it doesn't have to be rich. Yeah. We gotta be okay with not being rich. I don't know that mentality, because I never think I'm ever gonna make enough money. Right? At every level, I'm like, man, I need to make more money.
Yeah.
Right? And it's really no, bro. You make more than enough money. Right. But it's really how are you even defining success? Right. How are you thinking about your legacy? Is it a financial thing? It's and why are we programmed that way?
So let me ask you guys, to kind of wrap it up a bit. First of all, so many gyms, definitely. So I want to ask you guys, we talked a lot about the youth, a lot about giving back to the community. What's, one, I want you to say, did you ever, when you're giving back to the community, like you said, you don't want it to be pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, especially since, you guys are so far removed from the place where you began. I want you to say, do you ever it's a balance, because you want to teach somebody how to fish, but you also don't want to feel as though you have a superiority complex when you're giving back. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people have pride, oh, he made it out, now he trying to come tell me what to do. Right, exactly. But so I want you to say how you balance that, and then also saying what advice you would give your former self. So we can y'all can start anywhere.
But it's tough. Yeah, for me it's tough. Because 110% of everything I do is solely based around the community. There's from corporations to creative programming to events, all suffice in our community. So for me, that is a weakness of mine. I will say that. I will kind of push off something I got to do with my family to be I got to go to the west side, because 3 of my boys done got into something going on at school, or they got kicked out of the house, or they're in the shelter, or whatever the case may be. But I think it's because that fighting spirit I had as a kid, and I was raised by a single mother who was in the streets, so I got to see it firsthand. Nobody had to tell me. I done seen and I mean, for the record, y'all can edit this out, but by the age of 11 and 12, I knew how it was cooked, cut, how it was sold, what was the value, how much to weigh, whatever. At 11.
Oh, you were good at math.
You see what I'm saying? That too. And you know, growing up, the way my mom raised me was, you know, do what I say do, not what you see me do. You know what I mean? So for me, growing up, I always had that fighter spirit as a kid, that like whatever obstacle was put in front of me, I had to figure it out, or I was not gonna let it stop me. So now I take that same, like it's like almost the child that I grew up being is still in me, and I'm trying to do that with the kids that are around me. So as far as the community give back, I want to save everybody. You know, sometimes I'm like, damn man, you can't be Superman every day, you know, because it starts to weigh on you. And I've seen that, like COVID gave me a real, I call it a blessing in disguise. Because I mean, you know, you've been around me long enough. During the summer months, it's nonstop for me, Monday through Sunday. I barely even see my family really. I see them for a couple of hours, and that's about it through the whole week. So because I've devoted myself to the community, and like you said, it's like if you're not present, then it don't matter.
Right.
You know, so if like they don't see me, I'm not checking on the kids, I'm not stopping by homes and being like, yo, what's going on, what y'all need, how can I help? Little Mikey getting in trouble, you know, I need to go take him to eat real quick to get him back on his track. So it is one of the toughest things that I've personally faced in both, you know, my work and personal life. But I think now that I'm starting to kind of like get to a playing field where I can narrate certain people to do what I need them to do, corporate companies, I can pull myself back a little bit, you know. So I think that's what it's been for me. It's been a fighting struggle, I tell you that. Yeah.
No, I don't forget the question, but what I will say is what my advice to my younger self would be, man, you're going to be all good. Don't do nothing different.
Wow, yeah.
Right? Just everybody's journey's different, and you're good. Right? And that's it.
And now the question was, you said, what type of stuff are you doing to impact the community? Then what advice would you give?
No, I was saying like, how do you? Because we talked so much about giving back to the community, and we also talked about, like they said, you know, kind of wherever we started, wherever it's the hood, or like you said, you know, just any environment that you started in, you're now on the outside looking in. So, like, how do you battle wanting to give back, but not also wanting to feel like you're Superman coming back into the city? Like, I'm superior to you. Listen, I'm about to hand you these gems, but then it's also important to teach people how to fish.
Can I give my answer? My dad's a preacher, right? And so he's a 73-year-old Southern Baptist guy, which I won't go there because this is right. My dad isn't an open-minded person, and so I told him once, "Hey, you got to meet people where they are." And like, let's not get it twisted. The same Kevin that grew up in the hood is the same Kevin that's in the boardroom. So I'm going to relate anyway. So I'm going to meet people where, like, I could talk to a teenager like the 16-year-old Kevin, right? Because I know what he's thinking. I talk to my daughter like, hey, you getting a real conversation, right? And I know what you're thinking. I know what you're doing. You may not confess it, but I think it's critical to meet people where they are, because everybody's at different levels. And you never want to go too high level with a person, but sometimes these kids are here. Like I'm 40, right? So you all were just talking about just your generation's way more conscious than we were, just about racial things, the racial wealth gap, police. Like we are numb to that stuff. So we just dealt with it. Your generation's like, no, we take it to the streets. We're gonna protest. I'm buying black, everything on the tables. Like, we didn't have that. So you guys are like, the younger generation is actually further along. Where we need to help them with is maybe some structure, some structural things. But I think you gotta be careful not to come off as you're thinking you're better than us. And the same advice, like I'll tell my dad, you can't talk about baptism before you address the situation that Johnny's mom is a crackhead and he hasn't eaten in 3 days. Meet him there first. Take him to get something to eat for a week before you start telling him to confess with his mouth, right? Like, you gotta earn the right to give advice.
Yeah.
You got to earn the right to be candid and honest with people. And what people try to do is give advice too early in the relationship. Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to just not, I'm going to really take this kid under my wings. Like the word, we're going to date. Like the same journey you would go on if you're trying to go from dating to marriage, we should take with people that we mentor. So when we give them advice, they know it's coming from here because I want the best for you. Not because I want you to be me, but I want you to be the best version of you.
Very well said.
You know, it's so funny. I wrote a book. The title of the book is Learn to Fish and Eat Forever.
Oh, wow.
The Ultimate Guide to Real Estate Investing. So it's funny how you talking about,
How much
teach
is
people how
that
to
book?
fish.
Right now.
You got something in your trunk?
$49. But yeah, it's an ebook. But now what's funny is giving back to, people in just your community for that, all these, awesome people on the panel, I know you talk about it too. For me, giving back and not coming off as if you're on a high horse, I'm literally, one of the main things I do for a living is help people, again, that are in our communities, but also that are adults, not just kids, but, adults. And it's funny, I'm starting a non-for-profit. It's called the Top Fund Project. And what we're going to be doing is buying houses, just straight up cash. And we're going to have the youth from 13 to 18 renovate the houses.
Wow.
So anybody that's in high school that, like I said, 13 to 18, completely free, they'll come in, they'll learn how to put up lights. They'll learn how to put in sinks, install stuff. So regardless if they want to go to college or not, they're always going to know a trade that's going to make them money. And then the parents or the people that are not teens and they still, want to learn how to build themselves up financially. Literally, that's what I do on a daily basis. And even some people in this room, I've taken people that work at Publix making $250, every 2 weeks to making, over $100,000 in 6 months.
Wow.
Based off of just, investing.
Look, we're outside.
So the thing is that, one of the things that I'm so proud of just in general, and I didn't know it would be this way, is that I've helped a lot of people attain and continue to build wealth by actually investing in real estate. But now the next step, just because, it's fun to help out the adults, but there's a lot of need for kids to really learn trades because college isn't for everybody. And there's a lot of kids out there that are entrepreneurs and are going to be phenomenal not going to college. Just like you said, you don't need to go to some super fancy school to be successful. All you need to do is just understand certain trades and then how to build upon those trades. So I'm really looking forward to taking it to the next level by not just really helping the adults, but having it to where the people in the community, if they are in a depressed family situation, they can drop the kids off at one of our houses and they can work and get that mentorship from the electrician. They can get that mentorship from the plumber. They can get that mentorship from the roofer and learn all these different trades and build true relationships so that they too can go out in their own neighborhoods and start up their own different ventures
and put their
at
boys
13
on.
or 14. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee, so I do, after COVID, I am going to go back to the community there in my recreation center, Washington Hills, and I'm going to figure out a way where I can create a workshop to teach them about financial literacy, but also what he said, that financial health is very important, just how to apply it, how to do it. But I can only speak for what I've done here in Atlanta, Georgia, and for me, giving back to the South Fulton area, so I partner with a nonprofit, South Fulton Area Youth Council, and I just talk to the kids, they from ages 12 to 17, and I just give them resources. That's what I feel that's more helpful, is not about what I do, but let you know where I came from, and that here's some free resources to help you go be great. Because no matter the background as far as 2-parent home, 1-parent, because I got a brother that's never gonna be shit. 2-parent home. Doesn't matter. It's all about the mentality. But the thing is, for me, is just here goes some free resources that I had to figure out in the world by experiences. But here you go. This is how you apply it. And I'm literally step by step letting them know what they gotta do to be able to, whatever it is, whether it's being a business owner, like knowing how to pay bills, like going to college. Like it's all different types of things that I give to them just off of, just want to see you know, be better and be great, because they are cutting back on the programs that we had growing up. Like I know there's a lot of recreation centers that are kind of like close to non-existence anymore, but that's what helped me stay out of trouble. Like I went to it's by mentality. Once like I said, like I went to recreation centers with murderers, like people who was doing drugs and doing crazy stuff. But it's about mentality. I wanted to be better. I didn't want to be the people that I saw. Like it's about applying yourself and wanting to do better mentally. But it starts with self. I say just like get in tune with yourself, know yourself, learn what you like to do. Like stop, unthink a lot of thoughts that were programmed. Start thinking how you really want to think. Because we are programmed to think a certain way for a reason, so we can stay one-minded and stay one track. But in order just to jump off that track, you have to know yourself.
Black, 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 black on black, black, my thoughts so black, 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 I'm black, my skin is so black, I'm rocking that black, black is black, rims on this black, wheels in this black, wheel with this black, black, so black, black on black.